questions. Questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. It's the holiday season. It's a time of hope, and obviously the Conservative Party is the party of hope. And so we are sharing that hope with everyone today. But for too many people, life has become too expensive. There are single mothers and seniors who can't buy food, and the Prime Minister is threatening Canadians with a new increase in the gas tax, which will increase the cost of food. Will the Prime Minister, before Christmas, announce that he's going to cancel these hidden taxes on groceries so that Canadians can have hope to eat well? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party, listen, there's nobody who calls that the party of hope. But in this holiday season, I would like to wish even to the Grinchy Leader of the Opposition a very Merry Christmas, and the same to the entire Conservative caucus. I hope that they'll stop imagining taxes that don't exist, taxes that have never existed and never will exist for Canadians. We're going to offer support to all Canadians. Merry Christmas, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I had hoped that the Prime Minister was going to be here for once to defend. Even if it's Christmas, we can't allow ourselves to go against the rules. I'll have to take a question away from the Leader of the Opposition, and I'm sorry to do that, particularly at this time of the year. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. I just was hoping that for once he would defend the cost of living, which is going up because of the taxes that they're imposing on groceries. But it's not just that. There's also crime. The Liberals are blocking their own bail law. The Conservatives have moved motions 17 times in the last 2 days to get that bail law to be able to move forward. And the Liberals have caused these problems by freeing criminals with Bill C-75 before Christmas. Will they allow us to move forward their own law to reprove the damage they've done? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, just because it's the holiday season and everyone is feeling generous, well, Mr. Speaker, just because of that, you can't twist the facts. The Conservatives spent September, October, November, and December blocking the most ambitious crime-fighting agenda in the history of Canada, Mr. Speaker. And now, at the last minute, on the very last day, all of a sudden, they want to change everything, rearrange everything. We have bills for bail. We have bills to fight hate. We have bills to fight violence and extortion, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives need to get out of the way.
Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, let me wish everyone a Merry Christmas, the time of hope. And of course, Conservatives are the party of hope. And we share that hope right across the Commons, as I do with the Prime Minister, inviting him to stand up. But unfortunately for many Canadians, it's the time of Liberal inflation. As they go down the grocery aisles, they see the costs of food rising before their eyes. As the Prime Minister increases hidden taxes on the cost of making and selling food. 7 cents a litre gas tax he plans for the new year. Will he rise today and give Canadians some hope by announcing he's reversing that latest Liberal tax hike?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Rather than focusing on imaginary taxes like the opposition, we stay focused on helping Canadian families, and it's why Canada Child Benefit checks will be delivered early this year, Mr. Speaker. Early this month so that families can have the money when they need it most as they get ready for a happy holiday and Merry Christmas, Mr. Speaker. We're focused on supporting Canadians and Canadian families, something that I would hope a party that talks about hope would want to do.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the member might be suggesting that her own government department is imagining things again. I'm reading right here from the Environment Department's, quote, impacts of the CFR on gasoline and diesel prices. And for 2026, 7 cents a litre, Mr. Speaker. Oh, wow. Another tax increase on fuel. So while the Prime Minister promised to flip-flop on carbon taxes and copy Conservative ideas, once again, it's the costly counterfeit version on his side. That tax will increase the cost of producing and delivering food to grocery stores for just in time for Christmas. Will he get rid of this latest Liberal tax on energy and food?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
What we always seek more hope, and it will never come from the Conservatives, is actually for them to read a full report in its entirety and understand the actual implications. In fact, the fuel regulations do not have the impacts as he described them, but let's go a little bit further. Let's talk about the opportunities. I'm hoping he's thinking about canola farmers too. The regulation reduces emissions, but it creates opportunities for canola farmers. They have actually specifically said it is not a tax, and once more, it spurs innovation, creates opportunities. That's what we're about. That's what hope is about.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it's very telling that the Prime Minister is not prepared to stand up and defend his own tax. But just to prove that it's another counterfeit, the Liberals say that a tax on the diesel farmers use is going to help farmers, just like releasing criminals, they say, will reduce crime. Mr. Speaker, Conservatives have been fighting to end Liberal bail for a very long time. The Liberals pretended to agree with us introducing a watered-down bail bill, but now they're blocking their own bill. Conservatives have moved 17 times to push the bail bill forward, and 17 times Liberals have blocked it, not 1 second of study at their own Justice Committee. Will they get out of the way so that we can scrap Liberal bail and bring safety by Christmas?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that leader lives in a bit of a parallel universe if he thinks that we are the ones in the way of the most ambitious crime-fighting agenda that has been presented to this Parliament ever. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are blocking progress on bail reform. They are blocking progress on immigration reform. They are blocking progress against extortion, child pornography, against all manner of crimes, Mr. Speaker. Will that leader stand up right now, turn around, tell his caucus, get out of the way of the Liberals fighting crime?
I took one question away because the Honourable Member broke a rule. We're now going to l'Honorable Député de Saint-Jean.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, we're not ready to start. We'll restart. It was mentioned earlier when the rule was broken. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, usually at this time of year we'd take a look back over the parliamentary session, but this year there's going to be a report to shareholders, I think, because Canada clearly has become a business. With this Prime Minister, the Liberals are no longer even pretending the fight against climate change is over. The environment, to them, it's an obstacle to trade. With C5, C15 and S4, compliance with the law is over. Why? Well, it slows down business. So much for the Quebec difference. The Prime Minister launched an appeal against Bill 21 as quickly as he dropped his French classes. Did the Liberals realize that Quebecers did not vote for Canada Inc.? The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, Canadians voted to build a Canada that's not only strong, but also to make sure that we build it well, and that's what we're doing. We have committed to strengthen the industrial price on carbon. We have made a commitment to strengthen methane regulations. We have committed to continuing with clean electricity, particularly in Quebec, and that's going to continue. We will be doing the work that needs to be done. We are fighting climate change, and we are building a Canada strong. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals don't have a Prime Minister. They have a CEO. They're not listening to social priorities like healthcare, seniors, and their CEO isn't listening to the ministers. They have to resign to be heard, and they're not listening to voters with their conservative budget. They're not listening to Quebecers who voted for them out of fear of Donald Trump, and their attitude now to their relationship with Washington. To quote the CEO, who cares? The only difference is that a CEO in a private company with a deficit like this, they'd be fired. Will the Liberals remind their CEO that he's in a democratic parliament? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If my colleague wants to talk about a record, we could talk about 180,000 jobs created in the country over the last 3 months. We could talk about the employment rate that's been going down month over month. Major investments like just this week, $19 billion, Microsoft in Canada. We can also talk about inflation that's within in the Bank of Canada's targets. And what's the Bloc's record, Mr. Speaker? No asks for culture, no asks for the environment in the budget, and they even voted against the National School Food Program. They voted against investments in culture, Mr. Speaker. They voted against social programs for Quebec. The honourable member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, do you know what's generational in the Liberal record? Well, it's their betrayal of climate, their abandonment of all their green policies for an oil deal with Alberta. According to the former Environment Minister, it's a fire sale. Their shift to oil is going to sabotage any chance of achieving our greenhouse gas reduction targets over the long term. They're sacrificing all the efforts that older Quebecers have made, everything they've done for the climate, and they're telling younger people, well, deal with the problems. When the Liberals talk about generational issues, is this the generational legacy they want to leave? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Mr. Speaker, I don't think that we can talk about a betrayal. The strategy is changing, but the targets remain the same. We, as a country, are going to meet our goals. But we need to face the changing reality in the world today. We are modifying our strategies, but the vision remains the same, and that's building Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary East.
Before telling Canadians to judge them by grocery prices, the Prime Minister should have removed hidden food taxes, like the industrial carbon tax, the Liberal fuel standard, and the food packaging tax. The verdict's in, and it's very expensive. An average family of 4 will pay an extra $1,000 in grocery costs next year. In fact, weekly groceries have doubled under the Liberals from $160 a week to $340 a week. Do executives at Brookfield need to start lining up at food banks before this Prime Minister gives a damn about lowering food prices?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Here we go with imaginary taxes again, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if that leader actually cared about the economy, he wouldn't have spent the last 20 years in this House voting against it. On this side, we're not playing procedural games. We've been governing. We passed an historic budget to build our economy. They hid behind the curtains. The proof is in the pudding, Mr. Speaker. In the face of a trade war, our economy is growing. We've added 180,000 jobs in 3 months alone. I hope his heart grows 2 sizes big. He becomes more focused on affordability for Canadians. Let's get on with building the economy. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Speaker, the Liberals are failing Canadians on housing. They're breaking their promise of 500,000 new homes per year, and their fourth housing bureaucracy is a mess, with their independent budget watchdog confirming it will only build 5,000 homes per year. Buyers can't buy, sellers can't sell, and builders can't build. Yet the Liberals refuse to adopt our conservative plan to axe the GST on all new homes built under $1.3 million to boost building immediately. Why is that when the Liberals promise, things get more expensive every time and things stay same again and again?
Great question.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I've got some good news to share with the House. Just this Monday, the Prime Minister and Mayor Sutcliffe announced a new partnership with the City of Ottawa.
Excellent.
3,000 mixed-income affordable homes that will be built across the city. And through this joint investment, the City of Ottawa will fast-track the construction of 2,000 units of mixed-income and affordable housing on federal lands. Build Canada Homes will be financing 1,000 affordable homes from the City of Ottawa's slate of projects. This is fantastic news, streamlining the approvals and getting homes built fast.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill. The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The amount of space he takes up in your guys' head
This
is
fall,
really something.
the Liberals voted against the most comprehensive immigration reforms in recent history, despite their promise to get immigration under control. Conservative proposals presented would have boosted wages and opportunities for Canadian youth by ending the temporary foreign worker program, ensuring non-citizens convicted of serious crimes like sexual assault are deported, and preventing illegal immigrants with bogus asylum claims from accessing benefits that Canadians don't get. Why is it that the more that the Liberals say they're going to change, the results are always higher costs, more crime, fewer homes, and more of the same?
The Honourable Minister of Citizenship, Refugees, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We have an immigration plan that is sustainable and strategic. This plan will attract the best international talent to build a strong economy. It will bring in high-level researchers to Canada. It will help us invest in recognizing foreign credentials, and it will also help us build Francophone and rural communities. We have bills C2 and C12 to protect our borders and strengthen our immigration system. I invite the opposition to support those measures.
Honourable Member for Barrie South, Innisfil.
We found out today the Prime Minister's signature major projects office is directing Bay Street corporations, capital investors and banks to lend or second staff to the MPO, asking the companies to top up their pay. Here's how greasy this is. Banks, energy, mining companies, and Brookfield could end up with employees on the inside of the MPO, giving them the inside track and advice on projects they're working on, while these companies pay their salaries and provide lucrative bonuses. Under this scheme, just to spell this out, the Prime Minister's corporate buddies will be paying to have insiders work at the MPO. How is this ethical?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we want to thank our friend for his excellent conspiracy theory work. Mr. Speaker, we think that only the Conservatives would be shocked. Only the Conservatives would be shocked that quality women and men with experience in the private sector would step forward to work with a government that's going to build Canada strong, get major projects done. We're proud of the people that want to come forward and serve Canadians, and we regret that the Conservatives find that somehow a problem.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South, Innisfil.
Prime Minister's Bay Street buddies that are sounding the alarm, Mr. Speaker. If you're on Bay Street and you want a mine built, no problem, because you can pay to send an employee to the Prime Minister's major projects office to help you. Want a reactor built? No problem, because you can pay to send an employee to the Prime Minister's major project office to help you. Are you a large capital investor, say like, I don't know, Brookfield, and you want to fund a green project that pads the Prime Minister's portfolio? No problem, because you can pay to send an employee to the Prime Minister's major project office to help you. This is wrong, unethical, and corrupt. How is this happening?
Honourable Minister.
There's no Harper attitude.
Again, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, I remember being an opposition member of Parliament. I was very impressed with some of the quality people from Bay Street that former Prime Minister Harper recruited to serve as Chief of Staff in his office, for example. So it wasn't a scandal then when people with business experience could serve in the government. And we're proud, Mr. Speaker, we're proud that this government and this Prime Minister is able to recruit that talent to join the talented women and men in Canada's public service to get things done and to grow the Canadian economy.
The Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
While this Prime Minister and his government are looking to stack their major project office with corporate insiders and then have corporations send money to the major project office, Canadians are lined up at food banks in record numbers. Now, the firms paying those so-called top-ups to government employees are the same ones who are going to benefit from fast-track decisions made by the major project office. Why is it that the only pipeline that they're getting built is one that funnels cash from Bay Street to this Prime Minister's major project office?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, several years ago, that member earned the nickname the Death Valley Well Driller. The Death Valley Well Driller is that lonely guy out in the desert who's gone looking for water and never finds it. And here he is, once again, winding up the big pitch, and it all ends in nothing, Mr. Speaker. Of course, there are talented men and women joining with the government. We're going to help build the country. We're going to build Canada strong, notwithstanding the naysayers and the Death Valley well drillers.
member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Mr. Speaker, we've seen the depths of the corruption from these Liberals, and we've seen it with these ministers, including those who sit in the front bench today, who've been found to have broken Canada's ethics laws. And this Prime Minister is the one who has the market cornered on shadow lobbying, and now it looks very much like he's inviting more of his Bay Street buddies to have the inside track and have Bay Street pay for access so that his government can fast-track their projects. Canadians are lined up at food banks, and Liberal insiders are lined up at the Prime Minister's front door. Why won't...
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, it's easy to dream up conspiracies about everything when you've never built anything. When you've never built anything. We should be proud that good, hard-working people from the business community want to come to this government and work to build this country strong.
The Honourable Member for Côte-Nord, Kawawa-Chikamack, Nitassinan. Mr. Speaker, for Quebecers, the approach of the holiday season is a time of generosity towards those less fortunate.
J'ai pas compris.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what happened.
Il n'y a pas d'interprétation?
There's no interpretation? No? Okay, we'll start again. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, for Quebecers, the approach of the holiday season is a time of generosity towards those less fortunate. But for the Liberals, well, it's not so clear, because they're cutting $25 million in Quebec for help for people experiencing homelessness. Last Thursday, the minister confirmed that he's ending the Encampment and Crisis Response Program as of March 31st. How? In the middle of winter, can the government announce cuts to the fight against homelessness when the crisis has never been so serious? The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to note to my colleague across the way that the Government of Canada has put in place the Canada Dental Plan, which is having a major impact on the lives of Canadians. 6 million Canadians are already covered by this program, including the most vulnerable. Many people are able to see dentists and dental hygienists for the first time in their lives. I would invite my colleague from across the way and all colleagues to ask all members of their ridings to sign up for the dental plan. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Well, I think she got the wrong answer there, Mr. Speaker. $25 million a year is nothing compared to an $80 billion deficit. It makes no sense to cut funding for the fight against homelessness. This is tens of thousands of dollars less for each one of our community organizations at a time when they know that the crisis is affecting more and more vulnerable people. This includes women who now represent about 30% of people living in homelessness. That's double the numbers that we've seen in the past. Frankly, is this really the time to cut funding to Quebec and to our organizations? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague. This is an important question. Homelessness in the country and in Quebec is particularly concerning. That's why we have a homelessness strategy. It's been in place for a few years with major investments. I would ask my colleague to look at the budget for 2025, which she voted against. There's $1.1 billion for transitionary housing for people living in situations of homelessness and to also help prevent people fall into homelessness. I would invite her to review her position on budget 2025 and support us in our efforts to fight homelessness. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, here in this House, all members have to follow the values and ethics codes for members of Parliament. And in the Conflict of Interest Act, it says that it is prohibited for a public office holder to personally solicit funds if doing so places them in a conflict of interest. The Permanent Anti-Corruption Unit in Quebec is now conducting an investigation into the Liberal funny business scandal, the Fling Flang scandal, here in Ottawa. It's a criminal investigation. 2 weeks ago, the Liberal member for Laval-Les-Îles promised TVA that he would make a statement to explain his involvement in this affair. Does the member for Laval-Les-Îles have the courage to stand up and explain to Quebecers his potential involvement in the Fling Flang affair. Unfortunately, I was a bit distracted during the question. I didn't hear the question. We'll see. I will listen again to the question this time. Well, listen closely, Mr. Speaker. Listen very closely. Well, listen, it's one of your members. It's because of one of your members. It was one of your members who was speaking to me. So, listen, we'll be careful with the sarcasm, okay? All right. The honourable member can start again. Listen closely, Mr. Speaker. Here in this House, all members are subject to the Conflict of Interest Code for members of Parliament. And it's clearly stated in the Conflict of Interest Act that, and I quote, it's prohibited for a public office holder to personally solicit funds if doing so places them in a conflict of interest. The Permanent Anti-Corruption Unit in Quebec is now conducting an investigation into the Liberal kickback Fling Flang scandal in Ottawa. No, but... We haven't spoken about a member of the government, a member of cabinet. It doesn't appear to me to be relevant to the administration of the federal government, but I will let the government choose to respond if it wishes. The next question, the honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Well, right now, the Permanent Anti-Corruption Unit is studying the Liberal Fling Flang scandal in Ottawa. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. Just a moment, please. So this question doesn't affect the administration of the federal government. I'm not aware of what UPAC would be investigating in this case. If it's the same, it seems like it's the same question as the previous question. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask another question, Mr. Speaker, because the media is talking about this everywhere. The member for Laval-Les Îles said to TVA that he would explain his involvement in this scandal, which is currently being studied by UPAC. But my question, Mr. Speaker, now is on the Prime Minister's decision to choose Mike Wiseman to become the next ambassador for Canada to the United States, knowing very well that Mike Wiseman has already said that he was the creator of the Century Initiative, which wants to see 100 million people in Canada in 2100. And he said that he didn't care what Quebec had to say about it. And Mr. Wiseman is against supply management. Can the Prime Minister change his mind and not appoint Mark Wiseman as ambassador? The Honourable Minister for Canada-US Relations. Mr. Speaker, for the fourth time, our colleague is lucky. His question was in order this time, yet he has some challenges with the facts. He's talking about people who are not in the government, public policy that is not government policy. He knows very well that our government supports supply management. Under no circumstances will we negotiate supply management with the Americans. So despite what he's trying to do, we understand that the facts are still a bit loose here.
The honourable member for Bellechasse-Etchemin, Lévis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Food banks are overflowing, but the Prime Minister seems to be living in another universe. While Canadians are struggling to put food on the table, this Liberal Prime Minister spent $736,000 taxpayer dollars on a private jet, Mr. Speaker, even though a perfectly good government plane was available for a third of the price. 86% of Canadians have to go without meat because they can no longer afford to buy it. When will he stop making us pay for his whims while the world goes hungry? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Those who live in another universe are Conservative MPs, like my colleague who voted against measures that help her constituents, like the dental plan for 20,000 people. There's also the childcare benefit that reduced poverty in young people by 38%. I would like her to come to my riding so we can talk about the positive impact these policies have had on Quebecers, and she's constantly voted against. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-Chemin-Lévis. Well, I will speak to him about the consequences of his policies. A 75-year-old senior in my riding spends more than half of her income on rent and medicine. Recently, this person found themselves in front of a grocery shelf thinking, I can't afford this, and she had to leave in tears. She said to a food bank, I'm ashamed, I've worked all my life and I never thought I'd have to ask for food assistance. That is the reality on the ground, Mr. Speaker. That's the reality of their policy. The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Votes speak louder than what she has to say, because she voted against an increase of the guaranteed income supplement that helps the most vulnerable seniors. She voted against the childcare benefit, against the dental care plan, against a tax break for a tax reduction for 22 million Canadians. She voted against affordable housing. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, but in the next year, they should perhaps check themselves and see how they can help Canadians and Quebecers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Winnipeg West.
Mr. Speaker, the Early Learning Child Care Program is already providing families across Canada with thousands of dollars of savings each year. In my own province of Manitoba, the program saves families an average of $2,800 a year. Last month, the Minister of Jobs and Families announced an extension of child care agreements with Saskatchewan and Ontario, ensuring that families in those two provinces continue to have access to this incredible program. Could the Minister please update us on the status of the early learning and child care in Alberta?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, good news, Mr. Speaker, and just in time for Christmas, tomorrow we'll be signing the extension of the Early Learning and Childcare Agreement with Alberta. And now all provinces and territories have agreed to continue this important program. That means in Alberta, childcare costs have been reduced to $15 per day, and it saves families on average $7,600 per year, Mr. Speaker. So that's money that families have to put on mortgages, to buy groceries, to save for their children's education, or even pay for hockey. Merry Christmas, Alberta.
The Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives have asked the Liberals 17 times at the Justice Committee to start working on the bail bill. We moved 17 motions to get to bail, and 17 times the Liberals blocked it. They voted against our Jail Not Bail Act, they voted against our three strikes motion, and now they're blocking their own bill. At what point will this government stop voting against every single measure to finally scrap Liberal bail?
Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I'd remind the honourable member that what he calls Liberal bail is supported by the Canadian Police Association, the Ontario Police Association, the police chief in my community, and the police chief in his community. In fact, when his police chief showed up at committee, he urged all members, including the Conservative Party, to actually accelerate the process. He is citing revisionist history. If you go back and look at the tapes, you'll see that he and his colleagues spent the entire fall filibustering, talking about kittens and puppies, not crime and safety. Mr. Speaker, we are here to defend Canada's communities and the people who call them home. I wish the Conservatives would get out of the way and do something to promote public safety in this country.
The Honourable Member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Perhaps this minister should actually show up at the Justice Committee and see what his colleagues are doing. We show up ready to fix the Liberals' broken bail system. But after more than 17 attempts to prioritize C-14, the answer from the Liberals is always no. It is clear this government is unwilling to take even modest steps towards keeping Canadians safe. And still today, they continue to block tougher bail measures at every turn. When will they stop obstructing so we can finally scrap Liberal bail once and for all, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, after several months of obstruction and delay getting in the way of measures to improve public safety, my honourable colleague has finally realized that people are seeing that it is he and his colleagues who have been delaying and denying justice from advancing in this country. Right now we have an opportunity not just to move forward on bail and sentencing reform, but he's actively delaying legislation that is meant to help communities who are seeing their synagogues defaced, who are seeing their mosques attacked, who are seeing communities face harassment and assault in our grocery stores and on our university campuses. We can combat hate and reform the bail system at the same time. I wish he, for once, would cooperate.
The Honourable Member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Speaker, it's difficult day in, day out and see the Liberals claim to have the solutions for the problems they've created. For the last 48 hours, Liberals have rejected 17 attempts by Conservative members to advance critical bail reforms because they won't get off their desire to attack the religious freedoms of Canadians. Canadians want real reforms to bail, not Liberal obstruction. When will the Liberals get serious about real crime instead of thought crime?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Justice. Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the member from Elgin St. Thomas, London South, has been the main culprit that's been filibustering all the crime bills in the Justice Committee this season, Mr. Speaker. He's been talking about cats and dogs when hate crimes have gone up over 70% in this country. And the reason we brought this bill was to help protect those worshippers, Mr. Speaker. We're doing everything on this side of the House to protect Canadians, to protect public safety, and they've been opposing, they've been stalling, they've been blocking it, Mr. Speaker.
Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
I will not allow the Secretary of State to point fingers when the very communities she's claiming to be speaking for have been the ones to cry.
You're not going to allow it?
The Honourable Member may start from the top.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not allow that Secretary of State to point fingers for...
I think we're going to hear that line many more times if it continues to be too noisy on this side. The Honourable Member for Elgin St. Thomas, London South from the top, please.
The Secretary of State is pointing fingers because she doesn't want to look at the millions of fingers that have been pointing at this Liberal government for allowing these problems to fester. Even today, Liberal members of the Justice Committee said that the Minister of Justice would only come before committee if we agreed to wave through their divisive and toxic Bill C-9. Why are they putting conditions on transparency and accountability and obstructing their own legislation? Why won't the Minister of Justice appear before committee, and why won't he stand up now instead of pointing fingers?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, it's just a fact that the member from Elgin St. Thomas, London South, has been blocking all crime bills in the Justice Committee since the beginning of this Parliament, Mr. Speaker. He's been talking about his pets instead of talking about the safety of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. But this is a clear pattern that we're seeing from the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. They've been weak on crime since they've gotten here. They've been blocking the bail reform bill, Mr. Speaker. They've been blocking protections for peaceful worshippers, and they won't allow the police the powers they need to stop extortionists and pedophiles, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Under these Liberals, food prices have doubled and Canadians are struggling to get by. There are now 2.2 million food bank visits in a single month, with 1 in 10 of those users being seniors. Paul, a 70-year-old from Woodstock, was forced out of retirement and is now working night shifts to stock the shelves just so he could survive, Mr. Speaker. The seniors that helped build this country are now the ones that are struggling to afford to live in it. So will the Liberals finally stop driving costs up so our seniors could afford to eat and retire with dignity?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, remember when the Grinch tried to steal Christmas? He drove all the way up to the top of Mount Crumpet because he had everything that he needed, and he was going to throw the gifts that the Who's deserved because he thought they didn't deserve to have nice things. It's kind of like the leader of the Conservative Party, Mr. Speaker. For 25 years, he's had dental care because he's had a job here in the House of Commons. So he votes against dental care for 9 million Canadians. He's got secure housing. He lives comfortably at Stornoway in government-owned housing, so he votes against affordable housing for millions and millions of Canadians. My Christmas wish is that the leader of the Conservative Party comes back in January with a heart that's grown 3 sizes and tries to help a Canadian for once in his 21-year career.
The honourable member for Oxford.
Once promised that hard work meant a great life, but with these Liberals, that promise is gone. Ryan, a single father from Chelmsford, worked extremely hard, but is struggling to put food on the tables. He's struggling to put gas in his car, and he's struggling to keep his house warm for Christmas. And just like millions of other Canadians, he is now relying on a food bank to feed his families. With grocery prices going up $1,000, will the Liberals finally stop their reckless inflationary spending, scrap their hidden food taxes, so our citizens like Ryan can afford to eat once again?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
No, Bob Humbug is just a name for the opposition leader's management style. And thank God the human emotion of joy is not deductible, because the Conservatives would find a way to claw it back right before Christmas. They won't feed children. They won't help us feed children in school. They won't help us build affordable housing. They won't help us give and deliver families a well-earned tax break before Christmas. What's next? The Christmas tree? Are they going to try and take that away too? Even the Grinch had the good sense to give people the presents back before Christmas. When will this Conservative Party stand up and actually support Canadians? They said they were Canada first. Why do they put them last every chance they get?
The honourable member for Long Range Malcolm.
While Canadians cannot afford the basics, this Liberal Prime Minister spent nearly $800,000 on a private jet. In Newfoundland and Labrador, we have the highest unemployment rate in the country. At more than 10%, families are stretched thin. Canada's food price report shows the grocery bill has more than doubled since 2015, rising from $159 a week to $338. And next year, families are expected to pay even more. When will these Liberals stop their inflationary spending, cut the industrial carbon tax and their new fuel tax so Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I am so pleased to be able to stand and address the misinformation, the imaginary taxes, and the general disengagement from what matters in our province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Budget 2025 is about investment. It's about building this country. It is investments in rural Newfoundland and Labrador like the rest of the country. Roads, bridges, schools, hospitals. It is support for families, 46,000 families in our province who need the Canada Child Benefit, indexed to inflation. This member voted against all of these.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountain.
That answer is not acceptable, and I'm going to tell you why. A woman in my riding shared a moment that she said she will never forget. She was in the grocery store. She saw a senior couple standing at the meat counter. The elderly wife looked at her husband and quietly said, "I know I need to buy something, but I don't know what to buy because everything is so expensive." The woman who witnessed this exchange told me she went to her car and cried. She never thought she would see seniors in Newfoundland and Labrador struggling like that. When will the Prime Minister finally take these struggles seriously and make life affordable for the people in Newfoundland and Labrador?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Speaker, I'm going to deal in facts. Supports for seniors are indexed to inflation. Housing supports help seniors find affordable places to live. Supports for families and communities in Newfoundland and Labrador. School food program, which another member from Newfoundland and Labrador called garbage. garbage, feeds children, $800 a year for a family of 2 in savings. On and on I can go, and on and on and on. The Conservative members vote against everything that supports families and seniors.
The honourable member for Souris Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, across Saskatchewan, families are being crushed by soaring grocery prices. I recently spoke with a family farm, people who feed this country and the world. Yet after paying their bills, they now rely on a local food bank to get by. This should never happen in a country like Canada. And this Liberal government should be ashamed that there are now 27 cases of scurvy in Saskatchewan because people cannot afford healthy food after 10 years of Liberal inflation and higher taxes. How does this government defend a record where farm families need food banks and Canadians are now being diagnosed with scurvy?
Good question.
Okay, let's see if we can listen to the entire answer without making any noise. The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Speaker, like any serious disease, this government will respond to it. We'll work, Mr. Speaker, with all the officials involved, including our provincial counterparts. But I want to say to our House Leader, who has a very kind heart, he said at some of your interventions as answering the last questions, be kind, he said. So I'm going to say I wish you all the gift of greater tolerance for all people. In the new year, I wish the Conservatives place the priorities of Canada above your own political agenda. In this new year...
The Honourable Secretary of State knows that he must address the House through the chair. The Honourable Member for Pierrefonds-Dollard.
Mr. Speaker, in the Great North and Arctic, families face some of the highest costs of living for housing and basic necessities. In just a few months, our new government has announced several affordability measures for Canadians as well as in the North. Can the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs share how our government is working, including on the issue of Bill C4's affordability measures, to deliver financial relief to northern communities across that need it most?
Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, for the first time in generations, we're making historic investments in housing and infrastructure across the North, building homes and roads and community facilities. We're investing in clean energy, better internet, and stronger transportation links, all in partnership with Indigenous communities. So Bill 4 delivers tax cuts, GST housing credits, and enhanced benefits so families can heat their homes and feed their children. This is generational change for the North, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Yesterday at committee, the finance minister condescendingly said he was a lawyer and he'd be happy to explain the Stellantis contract. Well, Mr. Speaker, you don't have to be a lawyer or even an accountant to know that 4,475 jobs is less than 8,000 jobs. These guys, these incompetent Liberals, signed a contract with Stellantis that was going to pay them billions of dollars, and it guaranteed 4,400 jobs when Stellantis at the time had 8,000 jobs. This allowed Stellantis to fire 3,000 workers and ship the jobs down to the United States. How do they explain this unbelievable level of incompetence?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We signed that deal on behalf of this government for every worker, every employee, every member of that community. And Stellantis broke that deal, so in our opinion, they are in default. We are going to get that money back or the jobs are coming back, period.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Yeah, except when Stellantis was at committee, they said they're not in default of the contract. So they're probably relying on the section in the contract that said they would guarantee 4,475 jobs, when at the time the company had 8,000 jobs. 4,475 jobs is about 3,500 less than 8,000. I know that's hard for these Liberals to comprehend, and that's why they feel like when they fired 3,000 workers, they're not in default. And guess who benefits again from this? Donald Trump in America, where all those jobs went, along with a $13 billion investment from Stellantis. What?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Instead of repeating Stellantis talking points and talking points from south of the border, perhaps the party on the other side should be joining with us to agree that the company is in default, and they should be joining us in encouraging the company to come to the table and either return those jobs or give our money back. Period.
The Honourable Member for Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, at Industry Committee again yesterday, the Finance Minister falsely claimed there were, quote, the strongest protections for auto jobs at Stellantis. Well, we all know the outcome of that, 3,000 job losses in Brampton and $13 billion of investment by Stellantis in the United States. The contract was so badly written that the job numbers were only, quote, aspirational with no penalties. How can the Liberals claim they're supporting auto workers when there are 0 job guarantees in the contract?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaking of jobs for the good people of Brampton, Ontario, this new government is making a record $2 billion federal investment for the new SMR energy project in Darlington, Ontario. This will create 18,000 new jobs. Our energy sector is world-renowned. We'll continue to open doors for new exports around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mississauga East, Cooksville.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives stand in the way of progress, our government is relentless in delivering for Canadians, including by bringing forward 2 pieces of trade diversification legislation this parliamentary session. Trade diversification benefits the entire country, which is why we're moving swiftly to advance the trade deal with Indonesia, a market of 275 million people. Can the minister share how the Canadian-Indonesian trade agreement will create real opportunities for Canadian businesses and workers?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague through you for his good work on the International Trade Committee and, of course, for the good people of Mississauga. Indonesia is the 8th largest economy in the world with a population of over 280 million potential consumers. The trade agreement that we tabled this morning will cut tariffs and open new opportunities in aerospace, agri-food, agriculture, critical minerals, and so much more. Together, we're opening doors for Canadian workers, Canadian businesses, and Canadian products to new global markets around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, on October 2nd, the Health Minister's Assistant Deputy Minister for Controlled Substances told the Health Committee that no federal funding was used to buy crack pipes. Yet this week, the very same official was caught lying to committee when she revealed that Health Canada was in fact buying crack pipes with tax dollars. Wow. If an average Canadian lies on a government forum, they face real consequences. So, can the Health Minister tell us what consequences her senior official will face for lying to Parliament about funding crack pipes? How about...
L'Honorable Ministre de la Santé.
Monsieur le Président, mon collègue de l'opposition.
My colleague across the way knows full well that we don't fund any publicly served crack pipes. And he knows it full well because he keeps ragging on about it at committee.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
The Cowichan Nation Aboriginal title case is an important decision affirming First Nations rights. Let's be clear, this decision is not about taking land from private owners. The federal government must focus its efforts on reconciliation and honor of the Crown. Will the minister convene negotiations with all affected parties to ensure an orderly transition toward respecting the ancestral, spiritual, cultural rights of the Cowichan Nation?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we will continue to work collaboratively with all parties to uphold the principles of reconciliation, transparency, and legal responsibility. We remain available for dialogue with all parties involved. That involves British Columbia, the City of Richmond, Musqueam Indian Band, Tsawwassen First Nation, as well as the Cowichan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are promising massive profits to resource extraction companies by fast-tracking projects on Indigenous lands while investing nothing in community safety. Violence against Indigenous women and girls spikes around man camps, including sexual assault, trafficking, and child sexual exploitation, a reality that was confirmed in the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. Yet this year's budget offers zero. Do our lives matter, Mr. Speaker, or is this government going to turn their back on us yet again?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
The crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is unacceptable, and our government is taking concrete action. Through the National Action Plan and the federal pathway, we are funding new shelters and safe spaces, supporting Indigenous-led safety programs, improving policing standards, and advancing culturally grounded services for families and survivors. We know progress must be faster. We will continue working directly with Indigenous partners to implement the calls for justice and deliver real, measurable change. This is our commitment.